France has never seen Africa so awake. Trust me, guys. France with the West, I'm involving US, British, Belgium, Italy, all these countries combined together, has never seen Africa this awake before. These people, they were used to come in Africa to impose their leadership. They were used to come in Africa to put their puppet president in power. This puppet president will be at their service, will have to do what they're telling them. These people, they were used to come in Africa to colonize Africans and steal African mineral resource and go and invade the different tools that help the world, or maybe try to become that powerful nations in the world, all because of the natural resource which belongs to Africans. But how possible is that? Because among themselves, you're never gonna see the USA go to France and try to tell them on how to do things around over there. You're never gonna see either France going to British and try to tell them how to do things in their countries. But they had that easy access when it comes to African affairs. They had that easy access when it comes to African politics. They'll come and impose their leadership in Africa. They'll come and steal from Africans. They'll come and make African life become miserable because they believe that Africa will remain forever like that. Because they thought the Africa still the same as the one they had colonized back in days. But that was a very big mistake they were doing, because the Africa that we are having today, the youth, this new generation that Africans they are having, it is more different to the one that France had colonized back in days. Today we are talking about a waking up Africa youth, a generation that had understood that if we don't stand on our own, these people, they'll continue to do to us what they have done to our forefathers, our grandfathers, and our parents. These African youth, they have understood that if we don't chase France out with the West power in Africa affairs, then we'll never gonna develop our beautiful continent called Africa. These youth, they have also understand that we're not gonna sit and wait for our help to come from somewhere, Russia, China, but instead our help, it will come from us as Africans if we have to put our power together and stand together against this Western power. So these are the something that had revolt France, because guys, Africa youth have declared a war against France with its leadership. Yes, we are at war. We are at war because Africa continent, I mean the entire Africa continent, have stand against the Western power. And since this Western power, they usually benefit everything that they have in Africa. Since this Western power, they know very well that they can't survive without the help of Africa. They can't survive without stealing the mineral from Africa. They can't survive or build their economy or their country without imposing their leadership in Africa, without interfering in Africa affairs. Well, they are fighting. They are fighting back because they want to make sure that they continue in the to remain in the position which they've been there for all these years. They are fighting, they are trying to resist. But the question is, for how long will them have to resist this fight against Africans? Because looking at how things they're looking at, they're sitting on the table, Africans, they're now awake. Africans, they have understand that we don't need to leave Burkina Faso, Mali, or any other African nations to stand against this imperium Western power, because they know very well that if we have to abandon our brothers, if we have to distance ourselves from our fellow Africans, then we're not gonna succeed. Then we won't be able to survive against this Western power. So in order for us to succeed, if yesterday it was in Burkina Faso, well, what about us Zimbabweans? What are we still waiting for? We need to do something also against these people. What about us who are in South Africa? What can we do? We need also to do this and that. What about us who are in the western of Africa, Madagascar, or maybe Chad, or any other countries which are over there? Each and every African countries, guys, as we're talking right now, they don't want to be dominated by France anymore. Each and every African leaders, they don't want to receive order coming from France, especially the United States of America. They don't want to be influenced anymore. Yes, I'm telling you guys, things are happening. Things that our forefathers, our grandparents could not be able to do back in days. Those things are happening right now. Africans are now having the courage to face the West and tell them the truth right in front of their faces. Africans leaders are now having the courage to even exchange with these open-eye master leaders. Because before, it was all about them saying something, and all you have to say in response is to say amen. So they were kind of like a pastor in church. When they prophesize or when they say hallelujah, the whole congregation have to say amen. That is how African leaders, they were used to be. They'll call them and embark them in one bus so that they will go and see one of the Western leader. All of them, not even one by one. These things of having US Africa Summit or France Africa Summit, British Africa Summit, do you know that it's not gonna happen again? And even if it have to happen, it won't have the same impact that it used to have before, because before it was all about them calling African leaders and they'll jump quick, especially those one who still lack of legitimacy, trying to have certain kind of approval from the US or from all these Western countries. These people don't go, they'll accept these invitations, jumping from their seat to go over there to the US or France or British. But right now, because of the kind of the embarrassment these African leaders they've been receiving from all these nations, no African leader want to be embarrassed anymore. No African leader at the moment who will sit down and listen to France. All of them, they are distancing themselves from France, and they are cutting all the ties that they have with France leadership, because they are now realizing that our people, our African brothers and sisters, they don't want the way, they don't want to see the way we've been leading our nations. They don't want to see us be close to these countries. And they don't want to have anything to do with these nations. So Africans that are busy running away from all these activities. They are running away from not be associating with France or US or any other nations, all because they want to be independent. All because this African youth realize that actually our economy is not that strong, because we've been listening to these people coming with their lies. In one of our previous videos we spoke to you, I told you actually that one of the things that destroy Africa all this time, it is because we've been keeping quiet. It is because we were not talking the truth when we're supposed to be telling these people the truth. It's because we're not saying no when we're supposed to be saying no to one of their liars that they usually bring every time. Now that Africans, they have understand that. Now that Africans, they've realized that no, the economy of Europe, the economy of France, the economy of America, the economy of all these NATO countries, it more relies on Africa minerals. It relies on Africa continent. Because without Africa minerals, without Africa, these people are nothing. These people in their countries, they don't have golds, yet they're number one in the world class when it comes to the World Reserve Bank. The gold that belongs to Mali, South Africa, Congo, DRC, and many more other African nations, you'll find out that these African nations, they are not even in. They don't recognize them. They don't see them. But yet, them, the one who don't have this gold mining in their countries, they are the ones supposed to be number one. Is that all? What about diamond? These people, they don't have diamond in their countries. And even if they do, they have it about 3% to 4%. The rest are found in Africa continent. But go and Google for yourself. You will see that when they are talking about the top 10 countries in the world which are rich in diamond, or which are having a proper reserve bank when it comes to diamond, you're not going to find any of African countries. Guess which country you'll find over there? Of course, you'll find countries such as France. You find countries such as America, British. They are having all these things in their reserve bank, yet they don't have the mining. Of course, I know some of you come and tell me that, no, what if Africans, they sell it them, they sell this mine, this gold and diamond to them. So whose fault is that? No. Africans, they never sell anything to these countries. Yep. We never sell anything to them. These are the minerals that these people came in Africa continent. They steal it by force. They took it by force. Because if they say that they bought it from Africans, if we ask them today for them to provide us with a certificate which shows how they bought this gold and the diamond, and which it was sold to them by which countries, trust me, they won't be able to provide us with all those details. Because they know they were coming in Africa, they'll go somewhere, they'll steal the diamond from maybe Botswana. They'll go to DR Congo, they steal also some diamond there, so on and so on. They go to Mali, they steal gold. They go to Niger, they steal uranium. They do all these bad things because they were doing it under the dictatorship. They were doing it because they were having a certain puppet government which have to be there at their service. That is how they managed to survive after all these years. But now that Africans are waking up, now that Africans, they have understood that we need to take what belongs to us, because it is about time we start doing things in a different way. Now that Africans, they are now distancing themselves from France, regardless of how many how many countries France have colonized back then in days. All of these colonized countries, which was colonized by France, they're now chasing France out of their countries. They're like, no, dude, we don't need you. You have to go out. And some of them, they're even making sure that France must pay a very big damage for all the nonsense that they have committed or done in their countries. That is something that we need to celebrate. That is something that we need to discuss. Yes. Do you know why? Because as we're talking right now, African countries, they are now putting the economy of the entire Europe on their knees. And proof to that, the Europe, I'm referring to the EU, European Union, whatever they call it, over there, they have now decided to beg Africa so that Africa can accept them to be their friends. Because Africans, they don't need those kind of friends who comes and steal from you, who comes and try to impose their opinions on your politics, who come and try to interfere in your affairs. Africans, they want someone who can have at least that mutual respect, as we see the one of Chinese and Russia, who prefer to have a deal of win-win. You have something, you win, you benefit your country. Me also, I have to win and benefit my people. So these Europeans, they have now understand that things are getting very ugly for us. In 2, 3, 4 years to come, our economy won't be the same without Africa continent. If we keep on distancing ourselves from Africa, well, Russia and China, they're even getting even more closer to Africans, because they came with a very good offer that Africans need to have. They make sure that they have to come and tell Africans on how Africans will benefit as much them they do benefit, which is different with the Europeans and America, because they were always coming in Africa to take things for free. They were coming in Africa to loot Africa, not to help Africans. They were not having anything to help Africa develop because they don't care at all. Now, the Europe Union, they have to go and beg Africans so that Africa can accept for them to be friends. The president of UE, she have to go ahead and say that, no, I'm begging Africans to please accept our friendship because we need to work together with Africa. Now, when I listen to her, I ask myself a question. I'm like, what happened after all these years, after all these centuries? Why we never had this kind of language coming from the Europeans? Why they never ever want to work with Africa in a mutually respect ways? Why they never had the courage to at least beg Africa in the obvious things, for example, for all the crimes that they have committed in Africa, for all the looting that they have looted Africa, for all the bad things that they've done in Africa? Why they never think of starting there? Because it is how you get to see people who are honest. It is how you see people who are determined to do things in the right way. But they escape all these stage for them to jump to ask or beg Africans to accept their friendship. I'm sure now this world, things are no more the same. Or yes, guys, things are no more the same because these people, they want to be close to Africans, not because they want to see the happiness of African child. They want to be close to Africans because they are about to lose each and everything, each and every opportunities that they were having in Africa. African, they have understand all this. Africans young, especially this generation of ours, we have understood that we have to do things in the right way, in a very different way than our fathers. We need to correct the mistake that our fathers did. Our fathers, they were there and they were looking at these people when they were busy stealing from them. Our fathers were there. They were looking at France, how France will come and place his own puppet presidents all over Africa continent. And they were not doing nothing. They were not saying nothing. They prefer to remain quiet. If I have to go back more centuries ago, even our forefathers, they were there and they have to look France coming in Africa and colonize them, making them become their servants, giving them the service, which a service free of charge. They were there accepting that, no, I'd rather be a house helper or a gardener to one of these mulungu so that I can be able at least to have a place to sleep so that I should not be punished. Instead of them realizing that these people, they are having women and children as much as we do. So they are men like us. If they can be able to impose things on us, if they can be able to try and come and try to kill us and do all those things, us also we can do something in our defense. Unfortunately, they did not do that. Instead, what was happening back then, it was all them being misled by things like a mirror, whereby you seated, you don't even know what is mirror, you don't know the resemblance of you, how it looks like. And then here comes someone, a mulungu, showing you a mirror. You look at yourself, you see yourself there, then you start laughing. You start celebrating like, hey, look at this person, what he did. Yo! It's showing me. I can see myself. Yeah, that is how people like a Shaka Zulu end up giving up so easy. Yes, these people, they came already invent a gun. As we are used to natural handmade weapons to go ahead and chase the animals in the bush. We use our stones, we use our trees, we use things that we fabricate with our own hands without any chemical in it. But these people, they came with things which had chemical, like a gun. The moment they shoot it, you hear the sound of the gun, then you panic. You panic, then you start feeling like these people that are more intelligent than you. You feel like they're above you. Forgetting that actually they came with all these things to distract you so that they'll get an easy chance to discover what is within your borders so that they'll take and use it against you. That is the reason why you will see these people, whenever they invent something new, they have to come and try it in Africa because they consider Africans' life like nothing. They consider you like someone they have to come and try, whether it is a medicine, whether it is a weapon, whether it is a what, they prefer to come and try it in Africa. Do you guys still remember what former president of France, Nicolas Sarkozy, had said about Africa? A president saying that no, Africans, there are so many. Africans, they are giving birth to men children. And by 2035, Africans will be having billions and billions of people. So we need to find a way to stop this. And when they ask him how, he said that no, it's by eliminating them. In which way? Obviously, they will use anything possible. Do you guys still remember what they were doing during the COVID-19? A sickness which has nothing to do with Africans. Something that not even an African had invented. It came from somewhere. They make a serious propaganda against it. They make people to know what was COVID-19. Now that they are coming with their vaccines, which, by the way, before I continue, I never trust in those things. I'm sorry to say that, but that's the truth. Because for me, I don't still understand how possible is it that we are having sickness such as HIV, which has been there for centuries. Yet they're not able even to provide a simple vaccine that can help people to not be contaminated from this sickness. Yet they're able to provide us with COVID-19 vaccine to prevent you to not be contaminated. I never buy that. Because it's not that these people are not able to invent or create a vaccine which can prevent someone from not being contaminated with HIV. They are capable of all that. But do you know why they don't do it? Of course, it's because they want to make more money. Yes, they want to make more money. If they have to prevent someone to not be contaminated with HIV, you must know already that they'll lose a lot of billions of money because everyone, all of us, will go there and will try to have that vaccine. And at the end of the day, those who are contaminated already, they'll die, and this world will remain without having HIV. But they are not able to do that. You never even gonna see them sitting in the UN having this kind of a conversation that, guys, it's about time we do this vaccine. They don't talk about all this shit. You know why? Because they want to keep on making more money. And their target, it is Africa continent. They are more focused to Africans because they believe that with Africans, things will be more easy for them. So this is what they've been doing each and every time. And they enjoy doing this kind of things because it makes life easy for them. It makes life become even more better for them. You understand? So now seeing them coming and telling us that no, the COVID-19, how to call COVID-19 things, vaccines, it is now here available for everyone to take it. Well, I was like, okay, let's wait and see. But what makes it even more interesting is that they don't trust each other. You find out that America, they're having their own vaccine. They don't want to take other nation vaccine. They make their own vaccine. France, they made their own vaccine. They do not also want to use any other country vaccines. Australia, Canada, British, China, all these nations, they made their own vaccine, and then they did not want to use other people's vaccine. But when it was about time for Africans to also make their own vaccine, do you know what they did? They went first of all in the United Nations Assembly to disapprove for African these people who usually make medications. Okay, you see, like they just refuse for Africans who made this research. They refuse to approve them to have this laboratory of COVID-19 vaccines. Why? Is it that Africans were not able to make our own vaccines? No, of course. It's because they did all this because they believe that no, if we allow Africans to have their own vaccines, well, no one will buy our vaccines anymore. And they will be doomed. Because they want to make sure that they have their own vaccines, which they have to come and sell it to African countries. They disagree with our own people who had made serious research and willing to have our own vaccines. So they want us not to invent our own things so that we can go and buy what them they had made. That is how you see them start making too much empty promises, refusing to give us vaccines. Do you still remember what President Cyril Ramaphosa had said? Because during that time, President Cyril Ramaphosa was the president of African Union. And he had to travel around the world telling these people that no, if you are refusing to give us your vaccines for free, we have our own people who can make our own vaccine. Let us at least allow this process to go ahead so that we can make our own vaccines. They refuse. They did refuse to allow the African continent to have the vaccines. Until when this moment arrived, when President Ramaphosa get a chance to face Emmanuel Macron in his country, in Paris, and embarrassed him when he said these words.
Mr. President Macron wants us to address another issue, which to us is a bit of a negative. You will have heard President Sisi talking about the 100 billion that was promised in Paris. President Sassou Nguesso yesterday as well also spoke about it at the dinner. Now, there is that issue that a number of the commitments that have been made have not really been fully lived up to. But there have been times when we felt like we were beggars. I played a key role as chair of the African Union during the COVID period. We felt like we were beggars when it came to vaccine availability, when we felt we needed access to vaccines, and the Northern Hemisphere countries had bought all the vaccines in the world, and they were hogging them. And they didn't want to release them at the time when we needed them most. And we felt like we were begging. And at times it felt like they would just be droppings from the table, that yes, we will give you that and that. And let me tell you something that generated a lot of resentment. We resented that, and it got worse when we said we want to manufacture our own vaccines. And when we went to the WTO, there was a lot of resistance, enormous resistance. And we kept saying, what is more important, life or profits by your big pharmaceutical companies? And that too, I must tell you now, generated and deepened that disappointment and resentment on our part, because we felt like life in the Northern Hemisphere is much more important than life in the global South. And these are issues that need to be addressed. And I'm glad that we are all seated here like this, because we've got to get to the heart of these matters and address them. We were clear that we are not going there as beggars. We're not going to ask for a favor to both Ukraine and Russia. We were going there to say, open up the Black Sea Channel so that the grains and the fertilizers should go into the world market. So we were not on a begging mission. That should go to demonstrate that Africa should never be seen as a continent that needs generosity. We want to be treated as equals. Even in the multilateral institutions, we want to be treated as equals. And if our equity is at a low ebb, there must be ways in which that can be addressed. To us, this is very important. Our sovereignty is one of the things that we hold on dearly to. And we demonstrated that very clearly. I wanted to make that point so that it should be understood where Africa has evolved up to. We want to be key players on the world stage, want to be key players even in the financial markets and in the MDBs.
President Ramaphosa, he was very harsh on Emmanuel Macron. Not that he has something against him, but it's because he believed that this man, with his government and their alliance, they're hypocrites. They are not able to do things in the right way. They are neglecting Africans. They are not considering African life. This kind of behaviors is what had revolted the whole entire Africa youth. They have understood that no, we are not going to let this happen anymore. We are not going to give these people a chance anymore for them to continue using us as their weapons, as their battlefield. We are not going to allow these people to continue destroying our economy. When we have everything normally, we're the ones supposed to be having a powerful economy in the world. But today, African countries, we are not even in the 2010 top list of 2010 countries which have a proper economy. If they have to count, you find they are it will just among themselves. And when you go to the real results of these countries to see on how they manage to stabilize their economy, you'll find out that no, they are all depending on African minerals. They are all depending on Nigerian petroleum, on Nigeria petrol. They're depending on Niger uraniums. They're depending on African diamond and gold and coltans. Yet, the owner of all these natural minerals, they don't have anything to show that no, we're the one who all this belongs to. So guys, France have lost it. Yes, because all the countries that France had colonized, they're like, angeke. This is about time to stop dealing with you guys. You have to set Africa free and be out of Africa with an immediate effect. Now these people, they are trying to fight back, and African youth, they are ready. African youth, they are ready because they believe that we are at war. This is an open war, and it is up to you as an African child, wherever you are watching us around the world, to accept it or not. And this war, it is either we accept the defeat, and if we accept the defeat, which means we accept to be recolonized again by France and the Western countries and start suffering more than even our grandfathers, or we accept to fight until the final victory, so that we can take each and everything that belongs to us as Africans and start developing our countries. Yes, they have called upon you. They have engaged in a war against you, African child. Are you going to sit down and let these people win over you again? Or are you going to do something about it? But if you are part of those who accept to fight back this battle, well, it is very simple. You first need to start loving your brother and your sister, your fellow Africans, wherever you found yourself. If you are in the diaspora, you need to love your fellow Africans. A lot of Africans over there and overseas, in the diasporas, we don't love each other. We hate each other. We gossip about each other. We betray each other. The fact that we don't have that love, the fact that we are not united in the diaspora, how do you expect the remain of brothers and sisters in Africa continent to be united? So diaspora, you need to love one another. If you are over there in America and you see your fellow brother, your fellow black brother or sister passing by, even if you don't know them, be kind to them. Say hi at least. Yes. If you see them in trouble, try to see on how you can defend them and help them. That is what we call love for one another. Africa, we need to be united wherever we found ourselves around the world. We need to put our power together. We need to put our ideas together. We need to send a loud message to everyone out there that no, this is not an Africa that you come and you mess up with them, but this is an Africa that will come and stand against you. Viva Africa. Viva a black child. Thank you so much for watching this video, guys. Don't leave without you liking this video. Give us your thumbs up because we will really do appreciate it. To add a 1+ in what we are doing here at Coolbuzz TV. If you want to catch more of our videos next time, well, you just have to do one simple thing. By joining this Coolbuzz TV big family, then you'll be able to know whenever we are here live. So make sure that you subscribe to the channel, okay? Subscribing is for free. We don't charge anything, but if you feel like you want to bless us with something, well, we'll really do appreciate that, because what we are doing, we also taking a very big risk to come here and sit and with you and have this kind of conversation. So if you feel like you can contribute in any how, well, we'll really do appreciate that. Guys, for now, that will be all, but continue to be yourself. Be good, be kind. Have respect for everyone in order for you to be respected. May God bless you all. I'll see you again very soon in our next video. Ciao, ciao.